What's going on, A to Z Sports? We are live. It is a Friday. Got a great show in store for you. Sam Phelan along with Easton Freeze here on a Friday morning, talking a little bit of Titans Vikings. The Tennessee Titans are hosting those Minnesota Vikings with quarterback Sam Darnold, who, Easton, you've talked earlier this week, maybe a future Titan quarterback. Sam Darnold,
Maybe.
yeah. It's going to be a good show here on a Friday. Gonna, again, get into Sam Darnold, going to get into that Vikings defense, what our expectations are for Will Levis. And, if Will Levis performs well against Minnesota, what does it mean? Is Easton perked up? Is Easton is he back in on Will Levis?
This is me sitting up in my Will Levis chair, depending on how things go this weekend.
So got a great show, got a lot to talk about. Easton, tell the folks what to do here on a Friday morning.
Folks, good morning. Happy Friday. We made it through the week. Help us out here. Hit that like button on Facebook, on YouTube, that little thumbs up underneath our faces. Hit it for us. It's free to you. It's very helpful to us. It helps us get as many live eyeballs in here as possible on a Friday. We need your help sharing the show. Also, you know the drill. When it's just Sam and I, our jobs are on the line. Got to hit that like button for us or we get fired. So like the show for us this morning. Austin is watching very intently. And join us in the comments like Curtis and Richie. Hello, ladies. Duran, Robbie, Daff, Drayden, and more already have. We want to hear y'all's thoughts on this morning's conversation. So jump into those comments for us.
All right, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Sam Phelan. He is Easton Freeze, and this is A to Z Sports, Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live on weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show are tweeted out segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. I'll come back to that. We'll start the show with this. So, links tweeted out segment by segment, Twitter X timeline. You can also check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Threads for more Titans content. Got to thank our sponsors this morning. They make it happen for us and help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Farm Bureau Health Plans, better coverage, better rates, better service. Learn more about a plan for you at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Schedule an appointment at boneandjointtn.org. And TDOT, be part of the solution to end littering at nobodytrashestennessee.com. Easton, have to go back here.
Yeah, what was that about?
Are you on Blue Sky or is it Blue Ski? Is that what we're calling it?
I am not. I'm assuming it's Blue Sky. If it's Blue Ski, I hate it even more. No, I am not. And for those that are on it, good for you, man. I feel like we learned this lesson already with the Twitter dupes. I'm not going to make an account over that. Like, it's just a logistics thing, man. Like, if it was easy for me to post all of my things to one thing and they went to all the things, then sure, maybe. But am I really going to be firing off my tweet thoughts on 7 different platforms? No. So I go where the people are, and the people are on Twitter. So if you're on Blue Sky for whatever reason, usually political, I hope you're having a wonderful time over there where there are 1/100th of you.
Is that the thing? Is it like the political push? Like all the political social media content is now on Blue Sky?
It's like old Twitter. It's old Twitter. Everything's calmer. Everybody's nicer. It's like the gated community.
When is Twitter nice?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Twitter's always been the Wild West. That's the beauty of the app. So I don't know. Again, I'm not. Do you? If you want to be on Blue Sky, I'm happy for you. I just don't. I've had multiple people tweeting at me like, "Easton, make a Blue Sky, make a Blue Sky."
Yeah, what would it take for Easton Freeze to make a Blue Sky account?
I would need the AP to report Blue Sky surpasses daily users of Twitter for first time, which is never going to happen. The day that there are more people there is the day that I will go there. But I'm not going to be in more than one place. Is my point. I'm not anti Blue Sky. I'm anti a place where nobody is. So
I didn't realize you were so impassioned about this. This is why.
In the last 48 hours, I've had 7 people that I like. Like, Easton, make a Blue Sky. Like, the only thing that's keeping me on this app is that all the sports reporters are here and not on Blue Sky. And it's like, well, we're here because it's where the people are. Also, I make money on Twitter. I don't think I make money on Blue Sky. So
that's true, but you do have to deal with, as Bork points out, the Elon algorithm. He's forcing stuff.
I don't care. True. I like my Twitter experience. I know a lot of people don't. I enjoy my Twitter experience. So
there you go.
Sorry. Anyways,
All right, yes, back to football. Sorry for the tangent, but it popped in my brain. I realized we hadn't talked about, and
Well,
I
Austin's
wasn't
not
on
here.
the
We
show
can do
on
whatever we
Thursday.
want. I mean, we
This
could
sounds
really
like
take the show off the rail for the next hour if we
we
wanted
should have
to.
a Blue
Don't
Sky
stop us.
show. We should
No,
just
we
start.
should not.
We should live stream through Blue Sky.
Not sure it's that
You
advanced.
your shade yesterday should have been Blue Sky users as like your shade.
Well, we don't do shades on Thursdays, but yes.
Shows you how much I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What day is shade? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. See, well, my
yeah,
bad.
I think you did the shade this week.
Yeah, I did.
So,
and I was going to shade Blue Sky, but then I forgot about it. So,
gotcha.
That's my bad.
Okay.
All right. We're off the rails like our season, says Darren. And King Beezy comes back in, says, lock in like the show. So, if you guys like the show, Easton and I will lock in, and we'll get back on the rails here because we got Vikings to talk about. The Vikings come into town to face your Titans. And Easton, I find this game interesting because on paper, I would say the Vikings are a runaway, just record-wise, with the way that they've sort of played all season, and the Titans widely considered one of the bottom teams in the league right now. But the Vikings have not been as dominant recently as they were to the beginning of the year. I've always kind of felt like this Vikings team potentially a little bit fraudulent on fraud watch. And I think there are two elements of this that make the game really exciting. And the first of that is going to be Titans quarterback Will Levis, who I think most people can agree after having watched a week of, settled in from the emotions of the Chargers loss. It was a very emotional experience right after the Chargers game. I think we all can say Will was pretty positive overall in that game. Good steps in the right direction. Far from perfect, but encouraging. And Brian Callahan seemed to agree in all of his press conference content. Now, what does Will Levis do against a very formidable defense that's going to throw the kitchen sink at him? There's an opportunity here for Levis to flip the script because naturally everybody thinks, well, let me see it multiple times in a row. Let's see a string of good games together, and let's see you do it against one of the more aggressive defenses in the NFL, which the Vikings are.
Right. This is easily the hardest defense that Will Levis and this Titans offense has had to face this year. They've played some decent defenses. They've played the Bears. They played the Jets early in the season.
Chargers are not a bad defense.
Chargers are a sneaky good defense. But they don't compare to what this Vikings team has, both in terms of talent on the field, which we're going to hear from the Titans coaches here in a minute. They are just a really, really sound roster top to bottom defensively. But also, you've heard all year long, hey, the coaching that's going on up there, Brian Flores has got these boys flying around, and he's putting quarterbacks in blenders. Yeah. And that's the topic of discussion here today is how does Will Levis somehow climb out of that blender that he's about to be shoved into? How does he survive what has been a kind of a trap spot for much better quarterbacks than him this year who have struggled against a really sound Vikings defense? So I don't know if we want to start by asking the question or start by playing some videos. What do you want to do here?
I'd like for you to elaborate just a little bit because I do find it interesting the difference between the Vikings defense and some of the other defenses the Titans have played. I think the second best defense they have played is probably Chicago. But maybe the Jets, right? You can make
it's one of those two
different arguments. But what makes the Vikings different from the Bears? The Bears are the top team in takeaways all season. They seem to, spin Will Levis in a bunch of circles in that second half of the game with some of the defensive fronts that they're doing. What is it that you expect Brian Flores to do that could give Will Levis fits?
It's not that they're particularly different from what a Chicago, for example, does. They just do everything Chicago does better. So the defensive front, the stunts that they're going to run, I don't want to steal all of the things that Brian Callahan's about to explain in a minute because I asked him this question is like, can you explain in simple terms to fans all year? We've known, hey, this Brian Flores defense really, really taking it to the quarterbacks, but why is that? He's going to explain here in a minute that it's that basically on every play that you run as an offense, what the Vikings show you is, I think the word he uses is multiple. What's shown is a front that can be turned into a 5 or 6 man blitz or it can be a max protect. You have to be prepared as an offense based on what you're shown defensively on almost every snap for the house to come or for there to be nobody open downfield because it's max coverage. And the stunts that they run up front with a group that is really disciplined, really high level pass rushers along their defensive front, they put offensive lines in a blender. We've got some numbers here in a minute about the pressure rate that this Vikings defense has inflicted on teams all year long, as well as the pressure rate allowed by a Titans offensive line all year long. Those two things, not going to surprise anybody, in conflict, those two numbers. It's not good for the Titans, but I do want to hear from Brian Callahan here because he does a much better job explaining this than I do.
Yeah, let's go to the Titans head coach. This was Brian Callahan during his media availability on Wednesday when Easton asked him to explain a little bit of what I just asked of what makes this Vikings defense so challenging for his offense.
I think Jonathan Grenard is maybe the most underrated edge player in football right now. I mean, he's playing fantastic. I think he's really, really good. And they got a collection of veteran players that are smart. They can handle the scheme. They're really intelligent between Stephon Gilmore and Harrison Smith. I mean, it's a good group. Ivan Pace is really jumps off the tape, particularly as a blitzer. He's a really good player. So good players is the starting point. And then you add the multiplicity. And what I mean by that is they can play their base structure fronts against your 11 personnel. They can play base, and they can play nickel, and they sort of have this complexity that they like to present to you. And on top of that, they'll present 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, all in threatening positions. They'll bring all out pressure, or they'll present the same exact look and they will drop out and they'll play some version of 2 Tampa, some version of 3. So they do a really good job of marrying their pressure looks to their dropout looks. And so you have to have an answer for the max pressure, because if you don't do anything, you're going to get sacked. But then they also have the complement where whatever they're trying to get you to do, then they drop out and play coverage, and now you're in max protection against a full coverage unit. So you're lessening the amount of guys you can get out in the pattern because you're worried about the protection, and then you're also having to block those pressures when they come. So just a really smart scheme. Really, the multiplicity creates a complexity to it. You have to, in the run game, there's multiple fronts, multiple spots. Obviously, with Flores' time in New England, you see shades of a lot of that in terms of their multiplicity of their fronts. But really well coached, really well designed scheme, and obviously have made life really, really hard for quarterbacks thus far this season.
All right, you hear it there. Easton, where'd we go here? There we are. There we are. Yeah, that's Brian Callahan. I think, like you said, he says it very well. But the idea that
that's why he's a head coach, and we talk on the internet.
Yeah. The way that this Vikings defense can present the same look and then turn the exact same look into 3 or 4 different coverages or rush patterns and blitz patterns, that is ultimately what is going to be complicated for Will Levis here. Is this idea of, quarterbacks need to understand what they're seeing when they get to the line of scrimmage. And even if Will knows what he's seeing might not be what he's actually getting. And how is he going to react to a defense that, it's ironic that they're playing Sam Darnold, because it very much is a seeing ghosts sort of defense.
Yeah, 100%.
Forces opposing quarterbacks to make assumptions about what's coming on one thing and then be like, wait, what? It was a 2 Tampa? I thought we were, and
right.
There is some risk there for Will Levis. We're going to hear from Nick Holtz as well. And then we're going to talk about our expectations for Levis. And I'm excited to get the chat involved in that. But before we do it, going to talk to all of you about the Bone and Joint Institute. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust. And the Bone and Joint Institute, located in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who can help you through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on their campus to help in your recovery with everything under one roof: clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, rehab. You don't have to, drive around from appointment to appointment to office to office. It's all there. One clinic, one campus with everything you need. So schedule your appointment with the Bone and Joint Institute at boneandjointtn.org.
We're also brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. They're an official partner of the Tennessee Titans, and they're ready today to give you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you just sign up using our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. So whether you're cheering on the Titans at the stadium or watching the game at your favorite Music City sports bar, you're always going to be able to get in on the action with the BetMGM app right in the palm of your hand. Nothing better than a Titans win, except perhaps the thrill of winning at BetMGM. Enjoy the best parlay selection options, boosted odds specials, daily promotions, so much more. Download that app today. BetMGM. Sign up using our code ATOZ Sports and experience the football season like never before. BetMGM, an official partner of the Tennessee Titans.
All right, so Easton, we heard from Brian Callahan. I believe you also have a clip here from Nick Holtz that you like, that was, again, praising just how on point this Vikings defense is. And the words that I think both of you pulled from this was the idea that the Vikings defense does not make any mistakes. Here's the Titans offensive coordinator.
They don't make mistakes. They're as disciplined of a group as we've seen. So they are going to try. You watch a lot of teams, they keep kind of chasing. There's a balance of chasing the looks that they're doing and then trying to get into your checks or whatever the blitz looks that they're giving you, and they run out and play cover two, or they run out and play these other things. They know their system inside and out. So if you're late on a progression, if you're not, eyes aren't in the right spot, they will make you pay. And they've done, Harrison Smith has got, as many turnovers as anybody in the last handful of years, but that's been the key for them is there are no free runners. If you watch their tape, there's not guys running wide open all over the field. They are very sound. They're disciplined, and their eyes are always in the right spot. And I think that's the best compliment you can give to a defense is you don't sit there and go, okay, we can expose them on this. So that's really where their biggest issue.
All right, so can't expose them, no mistakes, different fronts, multiplicity, big challenge, and a big game for Will Levis to really prove himself and start building some positive momentum. Let's get the chat involved here. Easton.
Really encouraging situation we painted here.
Oh, yeah.
Offense, by the way.
Wrong?
What could go wrong? That's right.
Let's get the chat involved and be straight up here. Predict Will Levis's stat line against this terrifying Minnesota Vikings defense. We think it's terrifying, but predict Will Levis's stat line. I saw earlier somebody was already trying to say 2 interceptions. I'm calling it. But curious to see what the chat has. We were going to say what are the expectations, but we knew most of you are probably just going to come with some numbers anyways. This is a numbers chat. So that's predict right. Will Levis's stat line. Easton, do you want to monitor the chat here and see what's starting to roll in?
Yeah, let's see. I see a lot of interception numbers here. So let's get a little more than interceptions here. We all understand that the Vikings defense, they've turned the ball over a lot of times on a lot of quarterbacks this year. I believe they lead the league in turnovers this year. If not, they're number 2. It changes every week. But they're up there. And so it's more than that. Let's talk about the numbers I think that we should talk about. Turnovers, completion percentage, touchdowns, yards. I think those are the 4 things that I'm focused on. And we could, you want to throw sacks in there. We can definitely talk about sacks as well, by the way, because this is a team that's going to get after him.
Whatever number it is that jumps out to you, you don't need to give us 8 different numbers. If you want to predict it's going to be a three interception game, predict it's a 3 interception game. You want to say he gets sacked 11 times, say he gets sacked 11 times.
Whatever it is. Predict his QBR. What's the exactly. Let's see what the chat's saying here. 2 interceptions from can't pronounce that name, but you know who you are. Richie, 2 interceptions, 7 sacks. That would be a brutal day for Will Levis. Chris has no clue, but at least 3 interceptions. 2 interceptions from Major Key. So the consensus so far, 2 turnovers. 2 turnovers. Everybody thinks 2 interceptions are coming Will Levis's way. 30 pressures, 7 sacks, says Bork. That would be a thumping 30 pressures. Holy cow. TJ, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 garbage time. So again, kind of identical to what happened last week. American Toff predicting 85 yards of passing, 1 interception, 1 fumble, 8 sacks. I mean, American Toff, you've at least set the bar for yourself, I think, low enough to where you can't be more disappointed than that. I'm trying to find a positive stat. So here, Ira Hoshi, 2 touchdowns, 215 yards passing, 2 interceptions, 5 sacks. That's the first really detailed, believable stat line I have seen so far. I think that is perfectly within the realm of possibilities.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah, but I mean, a million numbers here from everybody, but the consensus is 2 or more interceptions, 4 or 5 or more sacks, and right around 200 yards passing, maybe an intercept or maybe a touchdown or 2.
All right, so here, let's do it this way.
Sam, yeah.
Well, let's do it this way. I just got an idea. I'm on betmgm.com, and let's just take it one number at a time.
Sure.
So let's start with passing yards for Will Levis on BetMGM. It is an over/under of 186.5. Okay. Sorry,
I was going to guess 180 something. That's fine. That's about right.
Chat and Easton, over or under 186.5 for Will Levis.
For me, it's over. Not because
I agree.
Not necessarily because I think that they're going to light them up passing the ball, but because in this kind of matchup, I think they're going to be passing a lot.
I think they're going to be down in the second half and be more willing to just air it out, right?
Yeah.
There's a very real scenario where Will Levis has 85 yards halfway through the third quarter and still ends up going over on that number because
2 garbage time drives of 50 yards apiece passing, 100%. 100%. So over on that one.
Kind of split here. We've got some overs, some unders, way under from Mr. Jones. But I think overall people are pretty down the middle on over under 186.5.
Okay.
All right. How many touchdown passes is your expectation?
Touchdown passes.
And don't say this or that. Like, let's.
Yeah, man. If the line was 1.5, I think if you made me bet it, I think I'd take the under.
I would too.
I think
I
one touchdown pass.
I do not see 2 touchdown passes.
I don't. I mean, again, it won't shock me at all if it's a lot like last week, where you get 1 real touchdown pass and then a garbage time pass that's for a touchdown. But I know that the Titans, if they play their game the way they want to, they're going to want to establish the run. They're going to want to, mitigate that Vikings blender that is their back end for a quarterback trying to pass by just pounding the rock with Tony Pollard, who is a very effective back. And for all of the Vikings' strengths as a defense, it's not like they're the world's best run defense. They're good, but they're gettable in that way. So if the Titans can stay ahead of the sticks and run the ball well, I think 2 rushing if you told me they got 2 rushing or 2 passing touchdowns, I would lean they'd be rushing touchdowns personally.
I agree. That's why I would not be. You said you wouldn't bet it. You would bet the under if the line was 1.5. I might bet the under if the line was 0.5. I think there's a chance Will Levis throws 1 touchdown here.
Okay.
I will say it's 0. That's going to be my prediction, is that he doesn't throw a touchdown pass. I don't know if that's, he can have a decent game and not throw a touchdown pass, right?
You don't have,
There's a chance that they have a couple of drives that result in touchdowns, and it's Tony Pollard punching it in every time.
That's right.
But I don't know. They haven't executed very well in the red zone all year, and they don't hit many. I don't see them hitting an explosive touchdown against the Vikings. So if they're not going to hit an explosive and they don't execute well in the red zone, I do think their best chance at scoring is a run play. And I will say 0 touchdown passes for Will Levis, unfortunately. All right, interceptions / turnovers in general. Where are you at? Interceptions / turnovers in general.
Well, let's look at what other quarterbacks have done against this Vikings team. I think this is a good frame of reference here. So I'll just go down the list. Joe Flacco, 1 interception. Aaron Rodgers, 3 interceptions. Matt Stafford, 1 interception. Jared Goff was clean against them. Daniel Jones, 2. Jordan Love, 3. Mac Jones, shockingly, 2. Brock Purdy, 1. CJ Stroud, 2. So you heard a wide variety of quarterback talent in there. Some in the Will Levis range, some nowhere near the Will Levis range. And most all of them have at least, the only quarterback to be clean against him is Jared Goff this year. And I don't think that's going to happen for Will Levis. Unfortunately, I don't think his second consecutive clean game of the year is coming. But that's okay. Against this Vikings team, I honestly think it's a reasonable expectation to go in thinking you're probably going to throw a pick. They're just like that. They're really good. What you want to avoid is the Aaron Rodgers 3 interceptions,
or where the interception is.
High leverage interception, right? If you're going to throw the ball to the other team, make it an arm punt, right? 100%. Don't throw the screen that gets picked off for 6 real easy. So I'm going to say if the number was over or it was 1.5, realistically, I'd have to lean over. I think 2 interceptions is probably likely. Although there's a part of me that wonders, this coaching staff, they've been game planning for this all week long. They know what Will Levis is capable of in terms of giving the ball to the other team. They know what other quarterbacks have done against this defense. I think they're going to do everything in their power to minimize the opportunities for him to even possibly give the ball to the other team. Now, that may be out of your control, depending on how the game flow goes. And in the third quarter, you might just have to say, all right, well, never mind. Hope it goes well for you. But I wouldn't be shocked if he only throws 1 pick and it's an arm punt. And you're like, wow, look at that. And it's because, when I review the tape, they weren't putting him in tenuous situations. It was a lot of easy buttons, schemed up looks, getting guys open, one read, soft part of the zone, taking shots downfield, overthrew the guy, but it's a safe ball.
And that is my answer right there. Because so go again at the list. Name the quarterbacks on that list that have thrown multiple interceptions against the Vikings.
Okay, so Joe Flacco, Matt Stafford, and Brock Purdy only threw 1 interception.
Right.
Daniel Jones, Mac Jones, and CJ Stroud threw 2. And Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers threw 3.
Okay. One thing that a lot of those guys that have turned the ball over a lot have in common is the idea that they are a little bit less gun shy. They're a little bit more trigger happy quarterbacks. They're guys that hit explosives. And, I think my number is 1 interception turnover. It's hard to predict, like sack fumbles kind of a deal, but 1 interception from Will Levis, because I believe that this Titans coaching staff will once again emphasize the importance of no turnovers, will once again try and put him in a position to get the ball out quick, do screens, run the ball, try and do things to like mitigate some of the, challenges that this defense presents for a quarterback. And I believe that that in itself will protect Will Levis from himself and potentially lead to less turnovers. So I'm around the 200-ish yard mark, no touchdowns, 1 interception. I think he could run a touchdown in. I think the Titans could run 4 touchdowns, whether it's the running backs.
I loved the way they used him in the designed run game last week. I talking to them, I think they loved the way that they usused him.
More,
man. When you've got a limited quarterback, this is a bad comparison because this is not apples to apples. But last night we were watching the Eagles and the Commanders, right?
Yeah.
And I was having some conversations with friends because it was a slog of a game, especially in the first half. Jalen Hurts did not look particularly good. And I had some friends that are more casual football fans be like, man, has Jalen Hurts always been this bad? And I was explaining to them, like, Jalen Hurts is kind of what everybody for the longest time thought Lamar was, where if you take away his legs, he's a really limited in the pocket. Jalen Hurts is probably like the 20th best quarterback in the NFL. He's just a limited passer. He is. Yeah. But when you add the mobility element, both scrambling and rushing, he becomes an elite threat because that's how big a deal that is. When you've got I'm not saying he is Jalen Hurts or will ever be Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts, he almost won the Super Bowl. Will Levis is the kind of limited but physically capable passer that if you can trust them to do that kind of thing, you raise their ceiling dramatically when you design looks for them sparingly.
You don't have to be Jalen Hurts. Look at what Look what Justin Herbert did against the Titans.
Totally.
Look at what Drake May was able to do against the Titans, right? And those are some extreme examples against the Titans defense that is very bad at containing quarterbacks. But how much easier was that game for the Chargers on offense because they didn't have negative plays, because Justin Herbert was able to at least scramble, fall forward for 3 and keep them on schedule.
Totally.
If Will Levis can do that and be trusted to do that, like you say, I think it makes the offense makes life a lot easier on the offense. Let's pivot this conversation a little bit. We talked about expectations, but I want to talk about what if, right? The what if, because I know a lot of people in the chat have given us some crap here for having flipped the script in the title, and I have proved doubters wrong. But I do believe there's an opportunity for Will Levis to do that this week. I'll tell you why I believe that's the case. Before I do it, going to tell you, you guys like to trash us. You guys like to trash Will Levis, but nobody trashes Tennessee.
Darn right.
That was a great transition by
Look at
me.
you.
Yeah, nobody trashes Tennessee.com. Be part of the solution to end littering. Did you know that there's 88 million pieces of litter on the Tennessee roadways right now? It's a big problem. We can all be part of the solution, though. TDOT spends over $23 million each year cleaning up litter, but they can't do it alone. You got to help by making simple changes to your life. Stop littering, pick up litter when you see it, and join local cleanups. Every action counts. Tennessee needs all of us to step up. So be part of the solution today to help keep Tennessee beautiful by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com to get involved.
We're also brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We got the weekend of college and NFL football approaching. That means it's time to bet, baby. You got to do it over at BetMGM, where you can get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if only you sign up using our bonus code ATOZ Sports. You download the app. You say, I'd like to sign up, please. They say, do you have a bonus code for us? And you say, yes, I do. A to Z Sports. You plug that in, and they say, lucky you. Your first bet insured on us. Can't lose. It's really that simple. You just got to use the bonus code ATOZ Sports over at BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right. So Will Levis flipped the script, proved the doubters wrong. Let's talk about why. Because we just gave you 30 minutes of reasons why this is going to be a torture chamber for Will Levis on Sunday and why he's going to be seeing ghosts and struggling. That's what we just explained. But what if he does it again? What if he improves?
Sure.
What if, that 175 passing yard, 2 touchdown, no interception performance we saw against the Chargers was a mere stepping stone for what was to come? And he protects the football well, and he's efficient as a passer, but he gets the ball out a little bit quicker this time and does some of the things you're hoping to see that shows more development in the right direction. If Will Levis has another strong game, Easton, where are you at on Will Levis after this week?
I don't know how else to explain it other than I will be sitting up in my metaphorical Will Levis chair. I was sitting up we were seated for the beginning of the season. I had good posture, no arch in the back. I was ready. And then as the season went on, just slouching, just all right. Well, we're going to relax a little bit because things are off the rails. I will be seated in a better posture in a hurry if he looks good against this defense, because I think it is the worst possible matchup for him.
Yeah.
It's like God created the Minnesota Vikings specifically to kill the Will Levises of the world. It's not just that they're awesome against quarterbacks and they're great. For Will Levis in particular, the way that he plays ball, we talk about styles make fights all the time. Big fight tonight, by the way.
That
that's
is
right. I just don't see it going well. And that is not an indictment on Will Levis for me. That's the thing that I want. I'm not trying to.
I mean, that is fair, man.
I know. I'm not trying to soften the blow here. I think people are going to be like, oh, they're getting ahead of the nightmare. Not really, man. Because again, think back to that list of guys we mentioned earlier in the show. Rodgers, Stafford, Love, Stroud, Purdy. These good to great NFL quarterbacks have all really struggled this year against this defense in one way or another. So it's not going to be surprising if Will Levis also struggles mightily. And I don't think, there are levels to this. Like, it can be a full unmitigated disaster. He can be making the very simple mistakes, and those would reflect differently. But if he's doing the same things that are like, they got us, like these other quarterbacks have done, that's not going to make me think a whole lot less of Levis, because I'm just expecting it to go poorly. On the other hand, I do kind of, and maybe it's unfair, but I see this as kind of a low risk, high reward situation for Levis, kind of a house money spot for him.
Well, I don't think
we're
the
all
whole back
expecting it to
half
go-
of the season is that, though, right?
Totally.
Like,
But in this game in particular, I see it that way, because I think we're all expecting it to go really poorly against this defense in particular. But if he does well, it will be such a statement game. So I want us to define what well looks like, because obviously, if he throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, of course, we're not talking about that. I'm saying if he plays in this game like he did last week or better, then I'm really impressed, because again, my expectations are in the basement against this defense.
Yeah, if it's another game where he doesn't turn the ball over and there are some improvements to those,
makes a couple plays,
right? Like the sack number Yeah, it's not a sack number to me because this is a better defensive front than the Chargers' defensive front.
It's what
even
kind of
is.
sacks
So,
are you taking?
but it's what kind of sacks, right? Are
Mhm.
we going to have 2 or 3 sacks again where we're like, no, Will, throw the ball? No,
Mhm.
or is it going to be
Behind
oh,
you, behind you, behind you.
damn Leroy Watson again? Like, what
Well,
do they look like? So there are going to
I have
be
a
some
right
sacks,
tackle
but if
take, by
there's
the way.
another
It's
game where
a
he
tangent.
makes it, huh?
I have a right tackle take this week. That's a total tangent, but let me just fire this from the hip real quick. Let me just get on the
Okay.
record.
All right, we're not talking about it afterwards.
We're not
It's
going to. I'm just
go
gonna
off the
say it.
rails. Okay.
I'm just gonna say it. I think your starter this week is Nicholas Petit-Frere. I think they go back to the well. I think it's a rotation of NPF and Isaiah Prince.
Yeah, we ready for Isaiah Prince to get in
Don't ask me
there?
why, but last week we had a rotation of last couple weeks we had a rotation of 2 different guys. I think this week it is a new 2 guys, and I think we're back to the NPF well. But we can keep going. Just put that
All
out
right.
there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we haven't seen the well all year. Define well. That thing is dry.
No. We've
and
seen the well. We've been broken and
we've
dying at the bottom
we've
of the
been
well.
kicked into the
We
well.
fell into the
broke
well.
our leg at the bottom, and then not.
We were
been,
counting on Lassie to go get help, and she's just sitting there. We're
Yeah.
bleeding out at the bottom of the well.
We were tossed a rope to try and save us, and that rope snapped. And then
They just tossed the whole rope. They didn't hold on to one end of the rope. They just threw the whole rope into the well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if Will plays a game though, where he corrects some of those, hold on to the ball too long, where he does all of the boring things is the word that Brian Callahan used. And he does those things efficiently and effectively, has a couple of moments where his talent takes over and he makes a few plays and he doesn't turn the ball over. I do think you have to get up in your chair. You have to say that he's at least starting to flip the script, because the narrative that we were told, and I'm not blaming anybody for this because this is the narrative Will Levis told us with his play, is I cannot help myself but turn the ball over. I have to throw this interception right now. I really have to do something dumb.
The Green Goblin mask gets him every week. He can't help it, man.
It got to the point where even myself, somebody who was a big Will Levis fan coming into the year, who believed that this would be a good year for Levis, had to sit back and admit, yeah, he's going to get replaced this season. He can't help himself. He keeps making the big turnover. If coming back from injury, he's now able to do it again, playing clean, you at least have to be perked up by the idea that, Will Levis looks like a different Will Levis now 2 weeks in a row.
Right. Yeah, man. I think that, and I'm seeing some people in the chat being like, "Oh, you're gonna let this one game completely change your mind?" No. I'm not saying that if he does well in this game, then congratulations, he's punched his ticket to whatever. Absolutely not. But it will be a moment where I'm thinking I can't wait to see these next 7 games. Right? Like it's gonna be like maybe I'll think for the first time, maybe he can genuinely change some people's minds down the back half of this season. Not that he will, but maybe he can, because if he does what he did against the Chargers at the same level or better against this Vikings team, it will be a massive proof of concept. It will.
Yeah. No, totally. And and Patricia says, when did Levis ever play clean besides Miami, Atlanta, and Chargers? He did not play clean in Miami. He threw a very ugly pick 6 in that game and then just led a great fourth quarter comeback. I don't know. When has Will Levis had any other clean games?
Man, I'll look it up. But we're not, you're making our point, Patrica. That yes,
right. Correct.
He hasn't. So I'll find that for us here in a minute.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think you used the phrase house money earlier, as this is a house money game for Will Levis. Patrica says last year Miami game. Oh, I know last year Miami game. This is the funny thing, Patrica, about that Miami game. I'm not blaming you for this. Everybody does this. I do this all the time. People forget Will Levis was kind of bad in that game, and then was amazing.
There's a reason they were down 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes.
He was incredible in the fourth quarter.
Right.
He threw a pick 6 to a big man from his own. It looked very similar to the interception. Which interception was it that he threw that it looked just like it this year? it was another one of like, as he's it looked very similar to the Jordan Love interception that Jordan Love threw that pick six. It's like, as he was getting spun to the ground with like a sack, he like tried to throw it and it went right to a Dolphins guy who like walked 10 yards in for the touchdown. It was ugly.
Waddled in there.
And people
There's one other clean game on his ledger.
Because Tajay Spears balled out in that game, as Bork points out, and went crazy after he did in the passing game, which then led to the
Hopkins
Will Levis
great game too.
Yeah, and let's see if we have that video. Do we have that video on deck? I know we don't.
I'd be surprised. No way.
I mean, it is in the primetime folder. I know that for sure. But the Will Levis like veins all the way down his neck came after a very bad start to that game.
One other clean game, by the way. The Carolina game last year. The Carolina game last year. No interceptions, no fumbles. The only other interception-less games he's played besides Atlanta and last week were he had a 3-game stretch last year. Jacksonville, Carolina, Indy. No interceptions. But in Jacksonville, he had a fumble. Indy, I forgot this. He fumbled the ball 3 times against Indy.
Yes, he did. Okay, last point on the Levis thing. It is, you said the word house money regarding this game. I think the entire back half of the year is kind of house money in the sense that we're all on the train of like Levis won't be the quarterback in 2025. So pressure is down and it's pretty risk-free. If Will Levis looks bad the back half of the year, we'll be like, yeah, all right, go get another guy. If Will Levis looks good, you're kind of like, oh, wait a minute, hang on. And I think this game is a great example of that, kind of a microcosm of that, I would not be surprised at all if I'm leaving the Titans press box on Sunday, headed down to the locker room, getting ready to talk to Will Levis about a 2-interception, 1-fumble performance in which the Titans offense just got bombarded. That is what I would expect more likely than not to be the case, that they're going to look overmatched. But I, like Easton, if Will Levis plays clean again, I'm going to do a little bit of, hold on. Wait a minute. Will Levis?
That's right.
We got a shot here.
Have my attention.
I'm going to side eye it like this. You were looking down at your phone, Easton. You didn't see my little side eye that I was doing. I'm going to be like hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, let's get to the Titans defense because I find Sam Darnold fascinating as well. Another guy that we have to talk about in this game and what he's been doing recently, kind of doing the opposite of maybe what Will Levis could do. We'll talk about that. Before we get into it, going to tell all of you about there it is. Farm Bureau Health Plans, better rates, better coverage, better service at Farm Bureau Health Plans. Learn more about a plan for you at fbhp.com/ATOZ. Farm Bureau Health Plans been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years, and while a lot has changed in Tennessee, some things have stayed the same. Farm Bureau Health Plans has stayed the same. They've always valued personal relationships, especially when it comes to good health and good service. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for health, dental, and vision. Better rates, better coverage, better service. Go to fbhp.com/ATOZ or walk into one of their 200+ locations across the state. That's fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Excuse me. We're also brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. If you want to bet on the Titans or against the Titans this weekend, as they are a pretty lofty home underdog against the Vikings, you can do so with bonus code ATOZ Sports at BetMGM. They'll give you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't hit. Check them out on the BetMGM app, the sportsbook born in Vegas.
All right, Easton, real quick here. This has been Sam Darnold's recent games. So actually, these are all of his games. His game logs. The bottom of the screen there is week 1. The top of the screen is last Sunday.
Week 10, right.
And as you see, Sam Darnold, multiple good games early in the year, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Started the year with 4 straight multi-touchdown games. And in the last 2 weeks, had a 3-touchdown performance, but threw 2 interceptions, threw 3 interceptions with no touchdowns last week in a game against the Jaguars, who are not an inspiring defense, by the way, and still found a way to win that game thanks to Mac Jones. Sam Darnold is on fraud watch for me. Sam Darnold has started to look a lot worse, and the Vikings offense, as good as Justin Jefferson might be, has started to slowly deteriorate throughout the season, is how I would describe it. So I guess the conversation that we need to have today, let's just get the chat involved. Let's ask the question. True or false?
Right.
The Vikings' recent offensive struggles make this a winnable game for the Titans. The Vikings' recent offensive struggles make this a winnable game for the Titans because the Sam Darnold and Vikings offense we have seen over the last 2 weeks is not the same group that we thought we were getting as they sort of, started the year.
Correct. So repeat the question one more time. True or false?
True or false? The Vikings' recent offensive struggles make this a winnable game for the Titans. Easton, your thoughts?
Well, let me go to the chat because they're pouring in here real quick. Curtis says false. Durant says no. Andrew says false. Titans Kyle says false. Jay says maybe true, slightly true. Andre all caps false. Duran with some colorful language echoing false. Chris Johnson says false. American Toff says false. Daff says true. Amber says not if Levis is QB. All right, we're still on that. Richie Guzman, false. Titans have no winnable games. Okay, well, I mean, they do play the Jaguars twice the rest of the year, so don't know about that. Yep. They also play the Colts again.
Also suck.
Yep. A lot of bad teams in the NFL this year. We have eliminated the middle class of the NFL. We need to bring. When I was in the administration, we had a middle class. We're going to bring back the middle class. Bork says true. It is winnable. Demario says false. We need offensive output.
Is that going to be our show clip of the day, by the way? You wanting to bring back the middle class of NFL?
Bring back the NFL middle class. What happened under this administration? True. Ashley and Deborah said true. So a split group, but the majority of folks say false. This is not a winnable game because of the Vikings offense. I think that who was it earlier that said slightly true? I'm on slightly true. Not a again to be clear, not a game they will win. A winnable game. Is it in the realm of possibility? And I think it is slightly in the realm of possibility because I have sat down and watched this Vikings team the past really 3 weeks, but 2 weeks in particular against the other two AFC South teams we just mentioned, the Jags and the Colts. Especially in that Jags game last week. I'm very curious to see what the Vikings do from a game plan standpoint. Kevin O'Connell, he's awesome at what he does. And there's a reason why this team came out of the gates and really shocked us with how well they were performing with Sam Darnold at the beginning of the year. He has proven over the past couple of years, he's kind of in that Matt LaFleur vein of, I don't really care who the quarterback you give me is. I can make it work. We'll figure it out. I think that he is an awesome head coach. And against these past two not great teams, the Colts and the Jags, I have seen him start to kind of toy with putting more on Sam Darnold's plate. A lot of the stuff early in the season were those easier buttons, things that, we're going to ease you in. We're not going to do too many risky things. We're not going to try to do the 301, 401 quarterbacking things. And then last week against the Jaguars, I'm watching them try to throw, out-breaking routes 18 yards down the field to the sideline. It's like, we don't need to do that with Sam Darnold. We don't. You can try it, and it's like nice if you have a quarterback that can do that, that's awesome. But it led to, in that game, Sam Darnold trying to throw the game away. And, they ended up winning a disgusting, 12-9 game or whatever it was. It was ugly. They won by 5 points. They should have won by much more. They're capable of winning by much more. But if it's a game like that, where they're trying to get Sam Darnold to do some more advanced things for no reason against a Titans team you don't really, let's be honest, you don't need to do that against. It could be one of those. I mean, I tweeted it earlier this week. I think Darnold and Levis has all-time bozo showdown potential. I mean, this could be a Hall of Fame bozo game because both these guys have that bozo in them. Neither of these fellas has ever seen a questionable decision they weren't tempted to make. So that's the way this Titans team wins.
This is the very Sam Darnold that I'm being told should be the Titans quarterback instead of drafting one in the top 10.
They should pay him $45 million a year.
That's what I'm being told.
That's
what I'm being told. The resident Buck Rising wants Sam Darnold. He wants Sam Darnold. Let it be known. I
mean, people aren't wrong that it would be better quarterback play, probably, but they are wrong that it would be worth that money. But we'll see. We'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
But that's the way for me, Sam, is that Sam Darnold is asked to do too much again. He tries to throw the ball to the other team. The Titans, not a super turnover prone defense so far this year, but against Sam Darnold, everybody has the chance to get the ball. So we'll have to see.
Yep. I'm going false on this. I'm just, and I don't mean that to say it's not a winnable game. I don't believe in the idea of this is not a winnable game, just like straight up. Especially, I've never been super inspired by the Vikings in general. I just, what I mean by false is I'm not moved in my expectations at all by Sam Darnold's recent play.
Okay.
And
at all, really?
I think the thing, because I've never been in on Sam Darnold. Like I've always thought this is Sam Darnold. This guy that we're seeing now is kind of what he has been. I think this is what he was early in the year too. And it's like, okay, Justin Jefferson is just really freaking good. and Kevin O'Connell has a good offense, knows how to use a good offense. The run game has been excellent. Like early in the year, especially Aaron Jones was excellent. Mm-hmm. So I think the Titans, if they stop the run, right, and now you're forcing Sam Darnold to do a little bit more, then yeah, you've got a chance to win this game. But I think it's all a product of your own environment and what you're able to do defensively against this running game, and not necessarily a Sam Darnold problem or a Vikings problem, as if something has changed with this Vikings team that now makes them a worse football team moving forward. I think the Titans are going to have a very, very hard time, number one, containing Sam Darnold. This is the exact type of quarterback that runs for more yards than you think he will against Tennessee. I cannot wait. That matter of fact, let me go look. I'm looking on BetMGM right now.
Okay.
Rushing prop, Sam Darnold, 13.5, over. I'm not making the mistake again. Easton has been on it. He's been on it. Take the quarterback rushing. Will Levis.
I didn't discover this, guys. I'm telling you what the pros have been cashing in on all year long. It is the most mispriced market in all of NFL.
Will Levis is also at 13.5 quarterback rushing yards. I would take that over as well.
Parlay it.
Over.
Put them together.
So I think Sam Darnold's going to run for more yards.
Last 3 times we've done it, the quarterback has gone over on the first drive of the game. So it's not even been close to a sweat.
Right.
Take the overs.
Sam Darnold's going to be difficult for them to bring down. He's going to run on them. He's going to be, I'm not inspired by this pass rush. I'm not inspired by their inability to, what they showed last week.
Not crazy about this pass rush?
No, I'm not.
Bold.
And when you have a defense that I don't really trust is going to be able to go sack the quarterback, and you've got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and now TJ Hawkinson back, and they're all running around, this is going to be a problem for this Titans defense. I don't think this is going to be
okay, but that's the point for me though, right? Because you just mentioned all these weapons that they have, and I understand your point that you're not particularly moved because you weren't moved in the first place that Darnold is better than he was. I get that, I do, but it's a deployment thing for me. It is the way that they're choosing to operate on offense. And again, these past 2 weeks, they've been trying to do some higher level stuff that you just don't need to do when you have those guys. Think back to the Green Bay game where they just leaned on their weapons and said, Malik, you're going to run around for us and, use your legs because that's what makes you a real weapon. Yeah. You're going to get the ball off to make a play or two. We're going to lean on you to make a big third down, and that's nice. But we really don't even need that. We'll just lean on all these weapons we have. That's what the Vikings should do against this Titans defense. We had a stat that the Titans sent us earlier this week about in the supplemental notes about how the Titans this year have been the best in the league at limiting explosive plays. They genuinely do not allow explosive plays. You can dink and dunk them to death, and you've seen that in multiple games. But that's kind of the way that the Titans defense is tilted. Is where no matter what, we're not going to let you get one over us. Yep. We run a higher percentage of cover 4 than any other team in the league. Take the underneath and kill us that way. And to teams' credit, they have. That's the way that the Vikings need to do it. Get the ball to your weapons. Let them dink and dunk and win the game like the Chargers did last week. Don't rely on Sam Darnold to do high-level stuff. That's the formula, and I think they're smart enough to try to take that formula. But if they look like they did in the past 2 games, it could be different for the Titans. Because I would have thought that's the formula against a very, very, very bad Colts defense. And yet, they chose to try to air it out, and I don't really know why.
Yeah. Edward, love this comment. Says, fun fact, Jefferson's first gritty was on the Titans.
I saw this clip on my feed this morning. It was an Elijah Molden.
Wait, so Han, I'm also, perhaps this is dumb of me. Was it Justin Jefferson's first gritty, or was it the first gritty ever? Because did Justin Jefferson invent the gritty?
Surely not, right? Like I'm sure he found it somewhere on the internet and popularized it. I'm going to guess he's like Edison with the light bulb. Everybody thinks he invented it, but probably just popularized it,
But
perfected it.
Quick Google. This is great end of show content right
This
here.
is definitely somebody on TikTok did
Who
a
invented the gritty dance?
a primeval version of the gritty, and Jefferson modernized it and popularized it.
All right. So there was a guy named something Davis is his last name, who did it in high school.
Apparently, it was a New Orleans dance popular at LSU, is what I'm being told.
Well, so I'm saying it's future LSU star Jamar Chase would learn the move from his friend Davis while the two were in high school. Chase then brought the dance with him to LSU, where he and fellow Tiger star Justin Jefferson popularized it.
Okay.
So the first NFL gritty,
was on the Titans. That's right.
was on the Titans. So there you go. There's a little lore for the people. Amber wanted to know who was sticking Justin Jefferson. The technical answer is Jarvis Brownlee Jr. The actual answer is nobody, because Jarvis Brownlee will be guarding Justin Jefferson.
The question is, who will be attempting to stick Justin Jefferson this weekend?
And the answer would be Jarvis Brownlee. So I had a chance to talk to him yesterday in the Titans locker room about that challenge. That video is on the A to Z Sports Twitter account, and it's not on Blue Sky. All right, Easton. What?
Austin's never letting us do the show again. We're just all right.
Let's go ahead. Let's get moving on. Ain't that good news here on a Friday? So let us know your good news. Get them in the chat. Good news. Good news. Good news.
Good news.
Ain't that good news? It's brought to you by our friends over at Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon, or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Wilson County Hyundai is the place to go for your new ride in Lebanon. wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Easton, good news. Monitor the chat. Let's see what's coming in here. It's a Friday. Feeling pretty good on November 15th, 9:11 a.m. What is the chat feeling good about?
Let's see what the chat's feeling good about. Good news from Bork. His child finally over the stomach bug after a week. That's brutal. Hate that when somebody in the household has a sickness and you're just
have you Easton had to deal with the sick baby makes mom and dad both sick and now everybody's sick yet?
Not yet. Obviously it's coming. With the thing is when they're real little, they're getting all of the very basic diseases. They're, it's like first common cold. It's like, well, I'm already immune to that. It's when they get the really contagious stuff that's seasonal. That's when things get, when they get
my baby has the stomach flu and now I'm throwing up.
Yeah, exactly. And so not yet, but I'm dreading when that comes because there's nothing. I mean, I hated it growing up. I'm paranoid about sickness. If my sister was she was down for the count, I would be quarantining myself in the house. And I'm not really a germaphobe, but when it comes to sickness, I just hate the idea of being stuck. Curtis saying Easton is married with a baby already. Yes, indeed I am.
He is. I don't know. Thinking back on it, my mom must have some sort of genetic mutation that just makes her immune from stuff because
it's called being a mom.
Huh?
That's just called being a mom.
Yeah. I mean, my brother, I remember my brother he had strep throat all the time. I never got strep throat. I was never a strep throat person. I still don't know if I've ever had strep throat. When I got sick as a kid, it was always the stomach flu. Always
really
throwing up, miserable stomach pains. Ugh. And my mom would always stay home, take care of us when we were sick. I never once remember my mom getting sick after taking care of my brother and I, while we were sick. And I don't know how that's possible. I remember my dad, dad would stay home one day and now my dad's down for 2 weeks with the he's
on the couch sniffling with a blanket.
I remember it happening to dad. I do not remember my mom ever going down with something.
I had a similar experience.
She's got nerves of steel.
I was the strep throat kid, which by tangent, but you remember when we were kids, when somebody was a strep throat person and they'd get it 2 or 3 times a year, you'd always get your tonsils out, right? Get those tonsils out. It was a very common thing. No, you didn't have friends getting their tonsils removed because they had strep too much.
I don't know.
Maybe people in the chat can. That was a big thing when I was.
I remember people would talk about getting tonsils out. I've definitely heard people saying they're getting their tonsils out. I don't remember it being strep throat related.
That was. I mean, there are other reasons, but like if you got strep throat too often, doctors used to tell you to get your tonsils out. Yes, Anthony's backing me up here. Apparently now they don't take your tonsils out anymore for like anything. I don't know why. Apparently they decided it's not worth it anymore, which is weird. But yeah, see, Zombie says his brother had his tonsils out for strep as a kid. Big thing in the 80s and 90s, according to Andre. I don't know what happened in science in the last decade, but apparently we don't do that anymore because I don't know. Anyways, some more good news here in the chat. I saw somebody saying that apparently Father Ryan first playoff game in a while here tonight. So we are in high school playoff mode here. Very exciting.
Is Father Ryan like historically, not great?
Very up and down. Kind of one of those storied franchises that have had some glory days, but it's been a while. They've been on the schneid for a little bit, but it sounds like they're back. So good for Father Ryan. Let's see any other good news in here. Got a lot of chats I'm sifting through. Zach says good news. Boys trip to the Bama game is tomorrow. Who's Bama playing tomorrow? I wonder. Zach, who they playing tomorrow? Let us know. Let's see. Any other good news? Burning Devil says good news. Tyson wins the fight tonight. Sam, will you be seated for Tyson Paul this evening? No?
I would be if it was free.
It is. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Well, yes.
Okay.
All of a sudden,
I'm available.
Different answer from me.
Right. It's expected to be the most watched fight ever because it's going to be like the first free fight ever.
Again, I talked about this on primetime on Tuesday night when I was previewing this fight. Jake Paul.
You previewed this on primetime?
Well, I played the video of Jake Paul being like, "I'm gonna knock him out. It's a message from the gods." And Mike Tyson just sits there laughing, and he just goes, "He got such a good imagination." It was a hilarious video of Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
I think Jake Paul is so smart because he knows exactly what he is doing, and he has everybody in shambles because the chat right now and in prime time when I was talking about it was like, well, if Tyson's gonna win, but if Jake Paul wins, it was rigged. And no matter what, it's going to be like Tyson took a dive, Jake Paul paid him off to like lose. That is what they've said about every single. I mean, he knocked out Woodley.
Yeah. I mean, this is a real fight though, right? This is not exhibition. This is a sanctioned fight, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Jake Paul got fat because they're the same. They're both heavyweight. Jake Paul is a big fella all of a sudden. Because Tyson obviously is a big fella. I think it's going to be one of those all-time, of course, no matter the outcome. Because if Jake wins, it's going to be like, well, of course, Tyson is 60 years old. And if Jake loses, it's going to be like, of course, he's Mike Tyson.
That is literally why it's so good. Is if Jake Paul loses, it's like, haha, you idiot. You thought you could box Mike Tyson. You're dumb.
And if you win,
if Jake Paul wins, he's going to be like, I beat Mike Tyson. Everybody's going to be like, he's old. Nobody cares.
You dragged him out of the nursing home to fight him.
Of course you beat Mike Tyson. I saw that coming. And now he's making it free on Netflix so that people are going to watch. It is. I don't think he's a pro boxer. I think he's a much better boxer than people think. He's a good
boxer.
He's a good boxer.
He's not as good as you can be without being an average professional.
I think he's an average professional boxer if he was trying to be a pro. He's not the best, but I think he could hold his own as a pro boxer.
But that's why he's smart. He knows he'd be a no-name if he was a full-fledged pro.
Exactly.
But if you're the best amateur boxer,
I think he is an average boxer for a professional boxer, but I think he is one of the best promoters that exists today.
He's definitely the best amateur boxer in the world. Gotta be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently it starts at 7. Do you think it's gonna be one of those classic fight things where it's like undercard starts at 7?
10,
we're watching the fight at 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm really worried it's gonna be like 5 hours later, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's in Jerry world.
Easton, your good news. Do you have a good news ready?
My good news. You'd think I would, wouldn't you? But my birthday was this week. Thanks for all the well wishes for my birthday this week. Appreciate that. I am now I'm 25, my wise sage old age that I am truly internally. Like I reflect that obviously, and so I don't know, 25, 1/4 of the way to the end of my life because I am going to be 100 years old. That's right. It's downhill from here.
Yeah. All
That's
right.
I'm not like geriatric like Buck or Austin, but I am old. So
Right. Correct. Old man Buck.
that's right.
I can't wait to tell him that.
He's very old. He's.
I have
what did he turn 42 this year? Buck?
something like that.
Yeah.
His beard's gray and whatnot.
The
He
hair's
showed me a
fake.
video
People
of
don't
him
realize
dressed in a banana suit at an Indiana Hoosiers basketball game, and it was like grainy black and white footage.
That's right. It was a drawing.
Yes.
It was a painting.
It was a painting of Buck on horseback in a
That's
banana
right.
suit.
Yeah.
I have two.
He was wearing a
good news.
waistcoat. I don't know.
What?
No, just keep going.
Yeah, you're off the rail. You keep interrupting my good news.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
So number one good news is that I have tickets for Zanies tonight. I love Zanies.
Oh,
we'll be going to Zanies.
Who's playing tonight?
I'm going to be real. I don't know.
Oh,
like
okay.
I
Going for the vibe.
I believe her name is Jordan. Jordan something.
Okay.
Her clips are very funny. I've
Okay.
never watched her stand up before, but I like going to Zanies even if I don't know who's going. Most of the people are very funny anyway. So
Man, I love stand up, but I've never been to Zanies. But I hear it's a great time.
It's a must. It's a
Okay.
must go. It is. I mean, I go to Zanies a good amount because it is. I find stand up comedy. I love stand up comedy, and
Same.
Zanies is the best at it. So I
Okay.
mean, quite literally an all time widely popular comedy club, one of the more popular comedy clubs in the country. So
Right.
yeah, going to Zanies tonight. That's one piece of good news. The other one is that Easton, we may have my SEC allegiance here.
Oh,
I think I haven't. Let's see if I have it with me. I don't have it with me, but Tuesday night I was in Oxford, Mississippi. I went to the SIP
that's right.
and I loved it. And
Hang out with Lane Kiffin.
correct. And some nice man, came up to me in a suit with an Ole Miss pin and said, "Thank you for being on our campus and representing our university and stuff." So we wanted to gift
Actually,
you. Yeah, and I got it.
Not a
Yeah,
bit.
and I got a gift bag and I got an Ole Miss hat. And they were just like, really?
Were they trying to recruit you? Did they think you were a high school senior?
I don't know. No, they
Okay.
they knew I was there with the CBS event, and everybody was just pouring it on. Oh, go Ole Miss, and they were hotty toddy. Everybody was singing the fight song. I was like, this kind of rocks, and it was vibes were high. They had just beat
Sure.
Georgia, but
This is
you
true.
know, with Illinois now eliminated from the college football playoff, I know, shocker.
Dang.
I think I might pledge my allegiance to the SIP for the rest of the college football season.
Man, so you're just gonna brand yourself hateable.
Is that the case? I think Ole Miss
I think
is
most
really
SEC
lovable.
fans, they don't despise Ole Miss the team, but the brand of human being that is the Oxford individual, I don't think is the most popular.
Okay.
It's like you're kind of, I mean, listen, it's kind of the Brentwood of the SEC a little bit. It's like it's the rich kid.
Oh,
really? Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
I don't know SEC culture like that. So
It's like the yeah.
I'm a
you're
Big
just-
Ten guy.
It's the
guy.
yacht of the SEC. It's
Yeah, look, I am a Big Ten guy. Will always be an everyday guy. Hashtag everyday guy. Hashtag FAMILL. But I would
shoes,
like to
khakis, and polos. That's the Oxford vibe.
boat. Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
Hope you
I'm
still
in.
own a pair of Sperry's from high school.
I never owned a pair of Sperry's.
Not a Sperry's guy? Okay.
No.
You
I
know
am
the
all
vibe,
the
though.
way.
You know the vibe.
But I want to pick somebody for the college football playoff, and I want to pick somebody that is fun.
I'm surprised
that
you're
is-
not just jumping on the IU bandwagon.
I don't want Buck to be happy, and
That's
like
true.
and
You
Indiana.
can't claim them.
So
How
and
unfair,
this is-
by the way.
No, true. But here's the other thing that I will say about the difference between SEC and Big Ten. I do not root for the conference.
Right.
I hate Michigan. I
Right.
hate Ohio State. I
Right.
hate Indiana. I do not root for the Big Ten. Like, I pretend to root for the Big Ten just to give SEC people crap, but I do not root for the success of my rivals. It is crazy to me that like Austin will sit here and be like rooting for Alabama in the national title game because SEC.
I'm with you.
Shut up.
I'm
No.
with you.
Like, that is crazy.
What are you talking
So,
about, dude?
I
Yeah.
will not be rooting for Indiana. I will not be rooting for anybody in the Big Ten. The only program that I would consider it rooting for in the Big Ten is Oregon, because they're fake Big Ten and they, I don't know. They haven't won in a while. Like, Oregon has been close. I wouldn't hate to see Oregon be successful. I'm trying to pick somebody to give my allegiance to.
Austin trying to defend himself in the chat. I did not do that.
Austin,
I don't know. I don't know.
I have heard Austin be like rooting for the SEC before.
I don't think that SEC fans I think they root in hindsight. Like, I think they like to have their cake and eat it too a little bit, where they'll root against Bama, but then when Bama wins, they're like, well, that's what makes the SEC the best. There's another SEC victory. What are you going to do?
It just means more, baby.
It just means more, baby. Yeah, exactly. So, which I respect it.
Yeah, this is going to turn into an off-air debate. No, Austin is livid in the chat.
Our text
slander. No, yeah, we'll sort it out. But I'm not rooting for a Big Ten team. I'm looking for an SEC team to root for.
Okay.
The world, everybody knows I like to watch the world burn, and rooting against Tennessee is also, just a fun troll. I am happy for Tennessee when they succeed, but Tennessee's been riding a little bit too high for my liking.
I'm actually going to be rooting for Tennessee. I've never been I'm not a college football fan. I have always I root for Vandy because they're the local team and I enjoy Vandy, and I root for the state of Tennessee in general, but I just like watching good college football. I have had my entire life many friends who live and die by the Tennessee Volunteers. So far, die by the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah,
and I just want a little bit of happiness for them. So I'm going for.
They got their baseball championship, dude.
Who cares?
Yeah. I hate Notre Dame. Grew up hating Notre Dame.
No on Notre Dame.
Obviously, I'm not going to root for any of your typical Georgias or Bamas or schools that are in it every year. And then I also kind of want to be realistic. And as much as I would love to sit here and be like, go BYU, go Cougs, come on. So trying to find somebody who can play a little bit spoiler, who can be a little bit fun. And if they happen to win out and get in, Lane Kiffin and the SIP are kind of, I'm liking that. So,
right, fair enough.
I'm Ducks, right? Because of I'm probably having oranges thrown at me. So going to have to bob and weave. All right. That's all we got here for this morning show. Leave a like on the show before you go. Austin is now very mad at Easton and I for the slander, mainly probably me. So I could get fired if you don't leave a like on the show with the like numbers right now.
You might get fired even if the people like the show. I mean, you might be toast.
Right. So like the show anyway. It'll help maybe offset some of the anger Austin is feeling right now. Keep it locked on A2ZSports.com. Keep it locked on A2ZSports.com. More written Titans content. Easton and I are going to head to the facility. We'll talk with Brian Callahan, get the latest injury update, and hop into the locker room to figure out everything you need for Titans Vikings. Till next time, tighten up. We'll see you later.